All right, can you hear me, see me?
Hear you, see you. You got a mask on. This will work.
I just turned the phone on and off like a Nintendo in the 80s.
Oh, I love that. Did you blow on it?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Well, here's two guys with curly hair braving the world without haircuts. So,
Oh, dude, the back of my neck is horrific.
oh yeah, the back is the worst.
It's the worst, yeah. And I guess I'm thinning a little, so it's all lopsided. You can see all the bullshit I've been trying to pull off with my barber.
Yeah, with curly hair, I'd never have like the same hair day twice. So it's like I just
Yes.
hope for the best.
You got a good head of hair, though. Perfect line on the forehead. Look at that.
It looks better. You know, we're all aging. It's happening to all of us.
All right, you fooled me because I'm a hair. You know, guys who are thinning, all they do is stare at other men's hairlines.
Right.
That's all I do, and I just judge. And a lot of guys, who get the plugs, I go, "Oh, I saw you 10 years ago. I know you were going, and so it's obviously it's work done." Blah blah blah.
Yeah, if you're tuned into it, you really notice it. I always look at my dad's hair and be like, "All right, so this is what I'm in for."
Well, it's on the mom's side.
Oh, it is?
Oh yeah. So if your mom's bald, you're screwed.
I am screwed. But I did, my dad always has, like, he's got black hair and he's 65. So I'm like, that's a good sign.
Yeah, that's really good.
But yeah, thanks for doing the pod, man. I really appreciate it.
Sure.
It's called It's Show Business. So we talk about kind of like the business behind comedy and the business, so to speak.
The worst part.
The worst part. And I found you really interesting because I Googled you before this happened. And one of the things that came up was your New York Times interview about you buying a condo in the West Village.
Well, yeah, I got really lucky, and it was almost helped me how ignorant I was with real estate. And I just fell ass backwards into it and said yes to everything. And it was a horrible process, but it's over now, and I own a piece of the rock, as they say.
Yeah, you're in. It's a forced savings, so no matter what, it's forcing you to invest.
Right. And I can't do stocks. I'm so stupid with numbers. I can't figure any of that shit out. Mutual funds and hedge funds and anal and all that. So I just bought some real estate, and it's just, I understand basic things. Like, okay, if I give you money, I'll get this apartment. That's it. But you tell me about the Dow going up and down, and I just start falling asleep.
You'll never look back like 10, 15 years from now and be like, man, I wish I didn't buy that place.
Exactly. And that was back when the world was normal and I was continuing to make more money in life. And who knows about now?
Yeah, it's all topsy-turvy now.
Oh, God, is it? I hate it.
But your podcast has been doing well. Tuesdays with Stories. The Patreon's been up.
That's true. People need the content. People are, gnawing at their own forearm at this point. So, the pod's going up. We're doing way more Patreon, way more queefs and stuff like that, just to try to hold on to every Jew we got.
Is it something that you and Joe set out and be like, all right, this month we have this target, we want to try and do this? Or are you just kind of like focusing on being the best pod you can be and let the rest kind of just naturally happen?
Well, we've noticed, I'm a big pod queef, so I've noticed that, a lot of them are slipping, with the Zoom, and it hurts the vibe, understandably. You got no chemistry, you're not in the room.
Mm-hmm.
So we tried to really sit down and go, all right, let's keep it jokey, keep it funny, keep it moving. Mm-hmm. And then we noticed the Patreon went up, so we just said, well, let's lean into that, and we'll go full gay on that. And we're doing it. And this is our job now. Our job, stand-up is out, so the pod is, numero uno in the priority list.
Yeah, now you're podcaster / comedians. That is comedian/podcaster.
I know. It's like I'm in LA.
Speaking of LA, is this a signal? Is this a sign to move out here?
Maybe. I mean, I own an apartment, as you know. So sorry, the son's a douche.
Yeah.
But yeah, I own the apartment, so I feel like I'm staying here for a while. But hell, I got a new special coming out, and I wouldn't mind popping over there in a hazmat suit on a Delta flight and jumping on some podcasts.
Yeah, $4 flights, you could do
it. Yeah, exactly. And I'll get the whole row.
My buddy just flew to Detroit for $8.
No way.
Yeah.
What? Oh, shit. All right. I'll buy a few.
Yeah. Book it all now. It feels like it's lifting a little bit in LA. I'm sure it's still crazy in New York, and you guys really bore the brunt of it, unfortunately.
You're freezing a little shit. Sorry. It's lifting a little, but people aren't happy about it. It's one of those things where there's still some shame going on if you're hanging out in the park.
Oh, people shame you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. I haven't seen any of that here.
It's online here. It's like if there's a bunch of people in the park, they'll take a photo of it and put it on Twitter and go, "Can you believe these guys?" I'm like, "Well, you were there too."
Damn, it's like a little blog of just reporting, snitching.
Yeah, and the guy doesn't care. He doesn't really care that you're all at the park together. He just wants those hits on Twitter. He just wants to look cool.
Yeah, it's like, how righteous can I be?
Yeah, yeah, and I get the points. I still went to the park. I still had a bottle of Zinfandel, but I also get the points, and you don't think I was there for the wrong reason. It's pretty smart. Oh boy, you're freezing like an ice cube here. Hold on. There you are. I gotta pick a spot and stay there.
Yeah, I was just saying that's a win-win for them to show how righteous they are.
Yeah, exactly. I got you.
Dynasty, you shot your special there. It's coming out soon.
Oh yeah, Dynasty Typewriter. Shot 2 shows, went pretty well, and it should come out on YouTube on May 12th.
Is it something you're self-releasing, or are you doing it through one of the comedy content providers?
I heard self-release, so I'm going to go with that.
Go with that.
Yeah, it's self-release. Nobody wanted to give me a shot, which I get. I got no juice. So, self-release, and I'm proud of it. I want people to see it. I also want to start doing a new hour on the road. So I just said, fuck it. Put it out. Hopefully we'll make 50 cents on it, or at least I'll make the money back. And people... I've done enough shit. I'm not a big name in the business, but I've done enough shit where people know who I am and they're looking forward to it. Some people.
Oh yeah,
and
people are.
Yeah, so fuck it, I'm putting it out.
And you get to own it this way, so it's your asset, which will grow in value over time. You can release it on different platforms. Someone might pick it up later.
That's true.
You can release the audio. Are you going to do an audio CD as well, or digital download?
Oh, yeah. Audio CD, Sirius XM, Spotify, Pandora, Grindr, you name it. So all that's going to happen. And I do own it, and I get to build up my YouTube channel, which maybe is the future, is having your own channel instead of worrying about other networks. You got your own network, like an Andrew Schultz kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. Schultz rewrote the whole game on how you do it.
Yeah, you're going to lose money in the beginning part, but I think in the long run, maybe it's the move.
Yeah, because, the amount of money they're going to pay you up front to own it is not crazy in terms of, how much you could make if you own it yourself over time. It's scarier, but you're investing in yourself.
Exactly. It's like starting a little your own little business there, and it's going to take some time, but I feel like at this point I got the pandemic on my side a little bit because, people are stuck at home, they need content, so hey.
And people forget the money on the audio side is substantial. Pandora plays are huge, Sirius XM plays are huge. We had the head of Sirius XM Pandora Comedy on the podcast, and he was talking hey, don't forget about audio. And he's like, if you have a great joke, one good a single, like how they do in music, release it, and then we'll categorize it, because they were saying they make these huge comedy playlists of weed jokes and your mom jokes and this and that, and if you have a good song, they'll slot it in and you'll start racking up cash.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. But Pandora, you get a nickel for every 10 million plays, right? I don't know how that works.
I can ask them exactly for the figures and get back to you. But he was a really good dude. He came from JFL, as a Canadian guy, and he was hired over there to be their curator. So he goes through when people submit albums, and he'll tag that and be like, all right, these jokes are about this, submit them to the right playlist and stuff. So they're really making a big push in comedy, and it's actually the number one comedy streaming platform.
Oh, really? Oh, great. All right. Yeah, I get a lot of people on Twitter. Never heard of you before, but I just heard you on Pandora in my car, and now I'm a fan. I'm like, great.
Yeah, that's
thank God for Pandora.
Yeah, he was saying it also opens up touring markets for new fans in different locales, which is always important when you're touring and building your brand, etc.
Yeah, look at Chad Daniels. The guy sells out now because he's number one comedian on Pandora, and I love the guy, and he's hilarious, but nobody's heard of him. But yet on Pandora, he's he's Richard Pryor.
That's the cool thing about today's landscape is you can be huge to your fans and no one else knows who you are. It's kind of like everyone's their own David Hasselhoff. They can walk around the streets in America fine, but they go to their one segment in Germany or wherever and they're huge.
Right. And much like him, I got blackout drunk last night and yelled at my daughter. But no, it's true. It's a totally different ball game. It's all splintered. There's so many different facets and YouTubes and Pandoras and Instagrams and Twitters and everybody's got their own avenue now, and it's bittersweet because some parts are great and then some parts are horrible. But either way, that's the instrument we got now, so we got to play it.
Absolutely. Before this all happened, I had it in the back of my mind, like, oh, I'm going to move back to New York one day because I used to live there before here. And now it's like, it's really pushed me to be like, yeah, you need to get over that. But I miss it. Like, I was there in November and I was doing some shows, and then I was leaving the village and I got this like Instagram ad that said Seinfeld with Mark Norman, buy tickets. I was like, click. And then I went and saw you guys, and it was such a great show. And I'm so glad I did it while it was happening. Because I remember all these times growing up, like Prince would play all these greats and like, oh, I'll see him later. And then they die. Or now it's like, now I wouldn't have got to see that great show with this pandemic, and who knows if it's coming back. And
I like to think that I contributed to that ticket sale, which is insane to ever think about in my life, that somebody could see me on the bill with Seinfeld and go, oh, I know that guy.
Yeah.
You know, that's insane. The whole thing is bananas. The fact that I even know the guy. He had a special come out today.
Oh, yeah. I'll check it out. Yeah.
You saw it.
Oh, that's
live.
The one. Oh, okay,
that's the
great.
one.
Oh, great. Yeah, saw it live. Done.
Yeah. I mean, it's well done. It's him, so it's going to be the tip-top production. But it's fun to watch. He's just so familiar. You know, he's an American icon. So you've heard the jokes a million times, but you put it on, you're like, I know the voice, I know the rhythm, I know the look. It's part of America. It's fun. It's like Thanksgiving.
Yeah, he's a cultural icon, and it was cool to see the people, different like age ranges in the crowd. Like there was a mom with like her 20-year-old son, and like they were talking, and grandmas and young people, and it was like it kind of just appeals to everyone, and it was just a rocking show. Oh
yeah, he's every word is chosen. He's airtight. There's not a missed slip up or a flub or nothing. So yeah, he's one of the greats, and I'm excited to know him.
Do you feel like with this new comedy landscape, you'll be okay if it ends up being like okay financially if it's just podcasting for a while, or is?
If you really want to get into it, for the first time, I was selling tickets for the first time in my life, and it's all gone. I was really like on the upswing for the first time. I've been doing comedy, 13-ish years.
Yeah.
And it's been a grind. I feel like I've put every brick down one by one if I'm building a house. Other people just like buy a house or show up and rent a house. I was building a house brick by brick, and it was taking forever. Yeah. And I finally had the roof on the thing, and then the hurricane came and blew everything off. But I hope to get back. I was talking to somebody today, and I was like, I'm worried I'm going to lose all these fans that I just got. And they're like, nah, they're not going anywhere. So I'm trying to stay. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, they're sticking with you.
I hope. But I'm trying to stay super active on social media just to be like, hey, I'm like tapping everyone on the show. Like, hey, I'm still here. Don't forget about me. Hey, I'm gay, something.
Yeah, so. Tweeting, posting. You did that video of you in the street. I saw where you're walking around and talking to people. And like I have a music background, and you did something cool with the music. You had music playing throughout.
Yeah,
which really
added, free music.
And it didn't step on the jokes, which was kind of a rare balance to achieve.
Oh, thanks. Well, we go with a instrumental, like a jazz, and it's also kind of New Yorky. You don't want any lyrics or anything, so that was all a choice. We handpicked that. So thank you. I'm glad you noticed.
I'm a big Seinfeld fan, and I watched in this Corona break a lot of the DVD behind the scenes where they talk about the show, and they're interviewing the music guy, and they had a similar perspective. He's like, they chose that because it wouldn't step on the jokes.
Ah,
yeah,
I know it too well. I've seen every second of those. What do you call it? Those back behind the scenes DVD things. I bought those the day they came out, and I played the shit out of them.
Yeah, it's comforting to watch it now during the pandemic.
Yes, it is. I'm watching on Hulu. I love it.
Yeah, Hulu, same. I mean, I grew up on it, and I think I'm gonna start watching some Simpsons too, because those are like two of my comedy like foundations.
Same. I watched some Simpsons last night, and I rewatched all of Curb, which is so good. And so I'm all caught up. By the way, I'm leaning over the phone and looking at myself in the face. This is what a woman sees when I'm on top of her, and that's terrifying. Holy shit.
With the mask, obviously.
Yeah, mask and maybe some chloroform and a knife. But yeah, but holy shit, this is what a woman sees, and I can't believe they have sex with us.
Yeah, it just goes to show different strokes for different folks.
Yeah, boy, they're really stupid.
But you have a
I'm
girl.
joking. I'm joking.
Do you have a girlfriend you live with?
Yeah, I do. That's why I'm out here, because I'm annoying the hell out of her. She has a job, so she's got to work at a desk from 9 to 5, and it's 4 o'clock right now, so she's not done yet. So I can't just be yapping about comedy yuck-em-ups while she's trying to close a sale.
Right. Yeah. You got to keep the job during this crazy time if you got one.
Oh yeah, she's got a good job, well paying. So I'm too scared to blow it.
I saw one of your posts recently. You did a skateboarding post.
I
was a big skateboarder growing up.
What was the post?
I don't know. You posted you on like a ramp or something?
Oh, yeah. I had a ramp in my backyard as a kid.
Oh, yeah. I mean, those are the days. Like, I grew up skateboarding, and I would just grab a bunch of friends. We'd go to like the construction site, steal a bunch of wood, make our own stuff, and just go all day.
Oh, yeah.
Work on one kickflip, just try to figure it out.
That was it. There was no Wi-Fi. There was no internet. It was just the board and cement and your friends and time.
Yeah.
And you just learned a trick all day. And it was pretty, when you think about it was pretty disciplined for a kid, because you'd have to sit there with this board. Your shins are all banged up. You're covered in sweat. And you're like, I'm going to nail this kickflip before I go inside. Yeah. And then a year later, like 10 tricks, but you had to make yourself. It was self-discipline.
Even the research, because like now you can Google all the tricks, but like back then you're like, I heard of this trick, some like flip thing, and you're trying to figure it out, and you're trying to guess on how you might do it.
Yes, so true. Yeah, back then you had the old guy, you had the older dude who was like 17, who knew how to 360 flip, and he told you what to do. Then he called you a pussy, and you tried to nail it. And then eventually you're doing it downstairs.
Yeah, there's nothing like landing your first 360 flip. Like, there's nothing better. Like, that's like the feeling of just like you're just so happy. You can't believe you did it. You falling on your face all day.
All day. The highlight of my life is 360 flipping down a 3-stair at a church in New Orleans, and my friend got it on tape, and it was I want to post it online, but it got ruined in Katrina.
That's too bad.
Kills me. If that was now, 8 phones would be out. It'd already be on TikTok.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the TikTok skateboarding is amazing.
Oh, really?
Oh,
check it out.
Check them out. They're doing like the craziest stuff. Some like quarantine guy has been doing like on his couch and on the floor, like just in one spot. It's mental. These are really.
Oh, wow.
Like I thought I was okay growing up, and now I see these kids, and I'm like, oh no, this next generation, they have it.
Oh, dude, that Nija kid and all those other, I mean, they're so much better than my generation was. Yeah. I guess because it's like the 8-minute or the 4-minute mile. Once you see one guy do it, everybody does it, but you need that one guy to do it.
Yeah.
And so every generation of skateboarding and basketball and everything will get better and better, because you keep seeing the guy before you and you go, all right, well, if he can do that, I can do one more.
Yeah. Yeah. It pushes you.
Yeah. So I'm going to check that TikTok out, because I'm only watching fat ass chicks twerk. So I got to mix it up a little.
Yeah. 50-50.
Yeah. That's a skateboard trick.
Yeah. 50-50 grind.
Good joke.
But skateboarding is kind of like, the discipline is similar to joke writing. Like, you're by yourself. Like, you just have to keep trying. You keep not doing it. And then it finally clicks and you have it. Exactly.
It's the same shit. And except for you don't fall, you bomb.
Yeah.
But it's the same exact method. Yeah. You got to do it on your own. You got to build an hour, which is almost like putting a skate set together, or a line, as we called it, is like putting a set together for Conan.
Yeah.
And you got to keep doing it and doing it and doing it.
Yeah. It's like an S curve.
It's true.
It's like no rewards. I got something.
I've never heard S curve.
It's something Elon Musk talks a lot about when he's doing like the ramp ups for production. It's like you get nothing, and then all of a sudden you have rewards. Exponential growth.
I love exponential. It's all about delayed gratification, baby. That's the way to do it. You see, it's the same with showbiz. You see all these, hacks, and then they fade away. And then the guy who was busting his ass quietly, he's the one who comes up 10 years from now.
Right.
You ever heard that Bill Burr story where he was kind of having a so-so set at the Cellar, and he got off stage. He was kind of cranky, like, I suck. I gotta make some changes. And Dave Chappelle happened to be watching. He didn't know he was watching. Mm-hmm. And he goes, hey, man, I listened to your whole set. What you're doing is going to take longer, but when you hit, it's going to be big. Mm. And Bill Burr said that kept him going for like 6 years.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, there's no overnight success really. Like I used to work with Wiz Khalifa's label, and they're like, "Wow, this guy just came out of nowhere," and like it took 10 years. Like
Right.
it comes out of nowhere for the general public, but the dude's been on the grindstone, like working mixtapes, doing all these things until it pops.
Yeah, and it could never come, and you could still be amazing, and it could never come. But like Bill Burr, to go back to him, he was a killer act, and then that Philly thing happened, and that kind of broke him.
Yeah, yeah.
So without that, he'd probably just be like a good killer comic. I mean, he's so good that it's hard to not notice him. But that was such a big break, and like he hated it at the time. He always said, "Oh, I thought my career was over after that."
Yeah.
But it's weird how in showbiz you need that weird thing. Like Jim Jeffries was a good comic, and then he got punched in the face on stage, and that went viral.
Right.
So everybody almost has their little thing.
Yeah, the little viral moments, and now it's almost like going viral is, it's not kind of old, but the new generation or the new formula seems to be like just be consistent. Like put something out, put something out, put something out, and then they'll find you and be like, oh, and he has this, oh, and he has got this clip, or she's got this clip, and you're just going down the list.
I know. It's pretty amazing.
Like if someone just found you today, they would have, he's got a podcast, and now he's got this and that.
It's a lot of work. It's so much work, and it's so much. Like I wake up and I go, oh, I got to tweet. Oh, I got to Instagram.
So much pressure, yeah.
Then you got to pay a kid to edit your shit and caption it. I just want to do my act, you fucking assholes. But, you got to keep up with the status quo. I hate it.
What is your daily routine like for writing and creating content, etc.?
Well, I'm so used to doing 39 sets a night that I always got that feedback constantly, learning what was working, what wasn't working. And I don't have that. So now I'm just tweeting like a motherfucker. And I'm just dumping good ideas, bad ideas, okay ideas, experimental ideas on Twitter and see what sticks.
And so you write those down and then catalog them. Okay, when I get back on stage, I'll be able to give it a shot.
Yeah, because I'm losing my gauge or my sense of what's going to hit. With a crowd, and so Twitter's the only thing that's kind of like a virtual open mic. I also do a little writing with some friends, but I don't know, it's not the same. No, it's not the same high.
No, it's not. Have you done any Zoom shows?
I've done a few, and they're all horrific. As my friend Chris Allen put it well, he said Zooming is just signing up to bomb at home.
Right.
And I think there's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah, because you need feedback ultimately for comedy. It's really hard to
really it's the only
art
form where you need a crowd.
Yeah, I did a couple where it was like more of like a hang talk, and I found that fun because you're kind of like with your friends. But yeah, the show thing, it's tough. It'd be cool if someone could crack it. Like you just put on the goggles and the thing, and you see people, and you have no latency feedback.
Yeah. Well, I did one at the Comedy Cellar. Did one, and it was pretty great actually.
Okay.
It had like a 20. I don't know how they did it, but the Cellar does everything better than everybody else. But I was 4 rooms. There was a waiting room, a green room, the tech room, and then the show. And the show had like 20 viewers, and you could see them like couples at home in their house with glasses of wine on their couch.
Oh, wow.
And then you slide to the other room. Now you're in the green room with the other comics. I'm sitting there talking to Anthony DeVito or whoever. Then you slide again, you're in the tech room going, hey, when am I on? All this shit. It was pretty amazing.
Oh, so you as the performer, you got 3 rooms.
Yes.
Oh, that's pretty high tech.
It was pretty great. And you could even do crowd work because you could see them.
Oh, nice.
I don't know how they did it.
Yeah. Maybe they need like a little laugh button. That would be cool because sometimes like, you're Zooming, you're always half participation. You got your phone out and you might not be present enough to laugh. You're like, oh, that was funny. And you want to give them some like recognition.
Yeah. Well, you could hear the laugh somehow.
Oh, wow.
It was pretty great.
If they crack it, it's like because a theater or a club has a limited scale. Like we can fit this many seats, 200 seats. That's it. So if they really crack this thing, it's like Google or Amazon. It's infinitely scalable. Imagine what.
I know, but I hope they don't crack it because then we'll never need venues again.
No, the medium's the message. It's like whatever it is, there'll be something. Though people will want it live. Some people you might have fans that would only ever want to see you on Zoom.
I guess. But isn't it funny that the whole business of a comedian, like the whole goal and climb is how many people can I fit in a room?
Yeah.
That's all. It's every lingo, every jargon.
Yeah.
We need butts and seats. It was sold out. How big was it? How many seats was it? Did you fill it up? Well, we were half full. We're at capacity. Like, put them in. Fuck fire code. That was our whole job, was to keep filling the room with more, and then you move to theaters and you move to arenas. Like that's the whole job, and that can't possibly happen in this pandemic. And I want to kill myself.
Yeah, it's gonna get out. I mean, you guys are in the middle of the worst of it, but I can already feel it hearing and feel it lifting. And my wife actually, she works in public health, and so she's giving me the day to day, and it feels
really?
like it's coming apart. You know, like there's a certain limit to where you're gonna have to balance like people's livelihood with and how that's gonna affect them with the sickness, and it's hard to like say that's actually like what the calculus these politicians make, but it is like at a certain point, like our souls get crushed, we lose our jobs, we lose our houses, and then you have to weigh that against what the virus is doing.
Right. Well, give me some inside, I'm boning a nurse info.
They're just like another branch of politics. Like they got their city to report to, the politics to work to, the schools. So they're trying to balance. They're really right now trying to just take care of the old people. They're trying to make sure that they have enough staff. So when it opens up, that they stay safe because they're the most vulnerable, right? So if we open up, it's like people with pre-existing conditions and people who are in nursing homes. They have the biggest risk factors. Because you look at some countries like Sweden who like they just protected those people and they seem to be doing all right. And every city and situation is different. Like LA is vastly different problems from New York because we're very spread out. But the problem is the vaccine is still way off, irrespective of it. So it's going to have to be opened up at some point. Otherwise, we can't just keep paying people to not work. That's going to collapse the economy and all these other problems.
No. Are we doing that? Oh, I guess the stimulus check, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, it's pretty crazy here. I have some friends who are making more money on unemployment than they were in their regular jobs.
Wow. Holy hell. But
unemployment in California is $1,050 a week.
What? That's pretty good.
It's not bad.
Not bad at all. Well, tell me some. I don't know if I understand how the economy works, which I know is a horrible thing to say out loud. But like, okay, so the government is giving us all money and we're not working, so they're losing money.
Yeah.
Now, what does that mean? I mean, isn't money all just liquid numbers bullshit?
Well, the Federal Reserve can print money, so to speak, so they can.
Yes.
By buying assets, they create more money. But the problem with the economy is. Economy is all about flow. So they want money to move. It's not about people holding money. They need transactions. So by stimulating the economy, they keep it moving. Like you take the money, you buy something from the store, that guy can pay for his kid's school, the school can pay for the teachers. And once they're scared of that flow really stopping, so by paying people to stay home and not go to work and protect themselves from the virus, they're hoping that that's going to be less harmful than the debt they're incurring over the long term.
All right. That helps. See, I sadly didn't know it was about the flow. I thought it was just about the amount.
Think of a restaurant. They're hurting so bad. New York is a city of restaurants, and none of them can actually engage in the business. And so hopefully some of them are selling, food and pickups and stuff like that. But without that flow of money, everything grinds to a halt. And the flow of money is actually how the federal government makes money because every transaction is taxed, right? Even if you you have a scooter or a car, right? You sell your scooter to the next guy. That guy also has to pay tax on it. So every time there's a transaction, there's tax and that's tax not just for the federal government, the local government. Like California's running out of tax money now too. So they're having to get loans from the federal government to pay for this stimulus. And it's a whole mess.
Yeah. Well, the good news is we got a hell of a leader on the helm.
Oh yeah, we always do. So.
Yeah. Wouldn't you hate to? I mean, Hillary Clinton's got to be going, woo!
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that. She's like, I'm looking. She can just kick back and relax.
Yeah, this is a brutal time to be a leader.
Have you gotten any leads in terms of like, hey, like, you're starting to get people to reach out like, hey, I know it looks bad now, but we want to start booking you for like October or something? I
got a couple things like that, and I can't say any names, but I've heard of a few comedy club opening dates.
Oh, wow. That's exciting.
So yeah, like, I don't want to say where, but you can probably guess.
Yeah.
But they're like, yeah, fuck it. We're going to open up and we're going to do like 25% capacity. And then eventually we'll do 50 and then eventually back to normal.
I wonder if they're going to like leave spacing and be like, all right, there's got to be a space now. Like, it's all in your head too. Like if you see one guy coughing in a room, like it's done.
Yep.
It's not going to matter how far spaced you are.
I agree, but I think people are craving normalcy so bad. Like in New York, it's a chilly city, but we had like a 71 degree day this weekend. and the whole city came out, and everybody, I'm talking the biggest germaphobe on the planet, had a beach towel out here and a cocktail.
Oh, wow.
And people are just craving that. I mean, you got a couple queefs out there who are going, "Hey, stay in," and I get it, but I mean, people want to be people, and who knows? Maybe in 10 years we'll look back on this and go, "Oh boy, we really blew that out of proportion, didn't we?"
Oh yeah, I'm sure it'll be something like that. I always
But
think
you got
about
to be cautious.
I think about the people who are like, I'm gonna get this done. I'm gonna learn 5 languages. I'm gonna write jokes. I'm gonna write a screenplay. But then the pandemic ends, and like, I didn't get to it. Like I didn't even start.
Yeah, that's me all day. I thought I was going to learn the piano. I thought I was going to learn Sanskrit. All I learned how to do was wash my hands and find free music online.
Totally. I do think like what's interesting is that they're starting to say that the pandemic started earlier. They're like, oh, it was actually around in LA in December. And that's why like it's not spreading, because all these people are actually exposed to it, and there's a herd immunity.
Oh, I think I had it. I'll tell you that.
Really?
Yeah, I had it in late February or early February. I had a craziest weekend of gigs in my life. I did 3 shows in a night. I shook everybody's hand. Then that next morning, I flew to Connecticut or something, did a bunch of gigs there. And that night after the show, I flew to LA and and it was like the craziest bundle of gigs. And I shook everyone's hand. I never showered. I rode on like 6 different flights, and I got back to New York and I was just wrecked. I couldn't move. I had no energy. I was sweating. I had a horrible fever. Like getting up from the couch to go to the bathroom was like a marathon. And I called my doctor and I said, I'm fucked. Something's going on. And he goes, I don't know what this is. I told him every symptom. He goes, sounds like you got a crazy bug. Nobody knew what it was yet. And I was like, okay. And then I got over it in like 4 days. But in a way, I think it helped me not to know that it was a horrible virus. I was just like, I caught some flu bullshit. And I just wrote it out.
Yeah, knowing it's bad makes it like the fear go up. Like everyone knowing how bad this could possibly be, and the unknowns make us just like want to be like, hey, you stop sneezing. Wash your hands. And
yeah, exactly. I mean, how many times have you heard like, oh, HPV, everybody's got that. But if you didn't hear that, you'd be like, I have HPV. I'm fucked.
I still don't really even know what that is. Like, is it bad for you? Is it good? Like if everyone has it?
There's different levels of it. It's human papilloma virus, and it could be genital warts, or it could just be symptomless. And you better hope you're symptomless. But I think like 94% of people have it.
94.
I threw that. I made that up.
Okay, but a lot of people have it. But it's more harmful to women though if they get can lead to cervical cancer. So we're like the silent carriers for it. Yes,
that's true.
But I hope this does lift soon and that you can come out here. The Comedy Bunker is over, unfortunately.
That's a great room.
It's a byproduct of this whole Corona thing. But I got some other shows coming, so I'd love to have you out when we're
sure. How did you cultivate such a good audience?
Like how exactly do I get them to come to the show?
No, I mean I do a zillion shows. I mean, even in LA, I was doing 4 a night, 5 a night. And your show always had the best comedy savvy crowds. They knew it was a joke. They didn't get offended. They rolled with everything. Like if it was funny, they would laugh, and they laugh heartily.
Yeah, they were good crowds. I think it just happened like it was a show kind of word of mouth. And like you're in this mansion is like a cool insider thing. And LA is kind of like a jaded town. Like, all right, yeah, we've seen it all. We don't need to go see stuff. And so this was kind of like a way. And it was a little bit outside of LA too, like in Sherman Oaks. You're kind of like going to this secret thing. And then also like agents and managers started showing up. And it kind of became this like cool show to be at. And then crowds wanted to come. And
smart.
It just, it was just organic, man. Like, I learned a lot. Like I used to work with Jamie at Dynasty Typewriter. And I remember watching guys like, Todd Glass, obviously.
Yeah.
Like he did his Netflix launch there, and he's going in and he's doing like little things to like close the gates, like stop talking. Like he's kind of like really making sure the show is right. And so I kind of took that approach. I was like, hey, people don't talk in the hallway. You be here, like trying to like create like the best environment it can be for comedy. Like have good lighting, have good seating. People also, one thing about the show is really cool is like people all got to come, drink, have a bite to eat, and then go and watch the show. So there's like a pre-communal time to get all the talking out, and now we're here watching the show. You know what I mean?
that's brilliant. I didn't know you had that. I thought it was just a show.
Yeah, so the pre-hang kind of gets the talking out of the way. And
Right.
for me as the host, like I always put the show first too. Like, you know, I could easily put myself in the middle doing 20 minutes every time of like my material, but I go and I do 15 of like crowd work. I try to find out what the trouble spots are. I try to like make sure it's a good show for the comedians first. And I
Yeah.
think just going with that approach is fundamentally why it became a good show.
I think you're so right. I mean, all the great clubs, you know, there's a handful of killer clubs in this country, and all the best ones always put the comics first or the show 1st,
Mm-hmm.
and it shows, and it's so easy to do. I guess like there's a lot
Yeah.
of egomaniacs out there and selfish people or whatever, or business people, but it makes the world of difference, and it's not that hard to do.
That is the thing. It's like even answering the question. You're like, yeah, it's not that hard. You just kind of like if you it's just about caring, care to make it good, and it's,
Yeah.
you know, it doesn't require like tons of money or anything. It's just like, hey, close that one door, make sure the
Right.
seats are clean, organize it nice, make sure the lighting is good, make sure this good sound is always important.
Yeah, oh yeah, and you got a good room. That room is tiny. It's so tight, and the walls are hard and the floors are hard, so
Yeah.
it really bounces.
Oh yeah,
I love that room.
when it hits you, you're just like boom, yeah. But if
Yeah.
something doesn't land, it's kind of like the opposite effect. It's super quiet. You're like, okay.
Yeah, but hey,
Noted.
that's the breaks, baby.
Absolutely, yeah. I remember the first time we started getting like bigger name comedians coming through, and Jamie Kennedy was coming to do the show, and he called from outside, and he's like, "Hey, is this? I'm at a house, like," and you could tell like people are freaked out. You're like, "What am I doing here? Am I gonna get
Yeah.
killed? Like, is this some weird fan shit or something?" And then he comes in and he sees like another comedian he knows. And he's like, "Oh, okay." And then he goes and does the show. He's like, "Oh, that was amazing. I'd love to do it any time." And that was always something we tried to have, is that so comedians and everyone, fans, audience members, they always left feeling like it was a great show. And so I hope I can
Yeah.
find a new venue. Maybe I'll do something at Dynasty when it reopens. Who knows? But
Well, yeah.
it'll be another good show.
I believe in you. I know it'll be, if you're doing it, I know it'll be a good show. And any douche out in LA who never went, you missed out. That was a hot one. They got all these dumb hot shows that everybody thinks are cool at the UCB or whatever. They stink. Like, oh, Largo. Everybody's jerking off Largo. That was better.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it. There are a lot of shows that are not good from the comedian's perspective, if that makes sense.
Oh,
It's like
yeah.
they're hot, but like you're kind of also doing it for other comedians, mostly in the room.
Yes.
And
for sure.
you gotta have real people, like real people who are comedy fans who don't get offended. Like that's the, mwah.
Yeah, I know. This getting is so silly. Like Tom Segura had a great point. He said whenever he does an alt show, which I was an alt comic. I came up on the alt scene because I was
Yeah.
too scared of clubs. And he had a great point. He said every time I do an alt show, I act nervous and it goes better.
Ah,
And that tells you everything you need to know about the alt audience, because they're going, okay, he's not some cocky guy who believes in himself and he has problems just like us. So they immediately like feel level with you, which is so sick and petty. You know, the crowd should it should be a blank canvas that you should kind of paint with, not this like preconceived notion bullshit.
right. But in a way, you need a lot of confidence to do comedy, though. So it's interesting that he has to like tuck it back to like make them feel comfortable.
Yeah, that's what it is. You got to make them feel, because they don't realize, and I know these crowds so well
Yeah.
because I still do them, but they're kind of bullies in a weird way. And if you are kind of resembling the guy who gave them a swirly in high school, you're done.
So if you trigger them back to them being like, oh, the cocky guy with the football team and the girlfriend, they're like, forget that guy.
Yeah, and they're so quick to misread. Like they do that with me. I'm a dweeb. I'm nobody, but they'll do it with me even.
Like they'll identify, hey, look at this bro on stage.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I'm a douche. Shit, I'm not a bro. I cry. I like shitty movies and art house and all this shit. And I'm listening to Van Morrison with a tear in my eye on the 405. And they're like, oh, look at this fucking golf playing, White Claw drinking douche, you know?
Yeah, don't wear a polo to
Yeah,
your show.
yeah. It's very profiling. They always say, well, you shouldn't profile, but that's all they do.
I mean, we're designed as humans to make snap judgments. Like someone walks on
Sure.
stage, we're like, I don't like that guy, or I like that girl, or like,
Yes.
and then you have to either like, win them over or just play into it. Something's gonna happen.
Right.
People are gonna decide whether they like you, even in the street. Like, because our first instinct as humans is like, is this person a threat? Are they gonna kill me?
Right. No, I get that, and that's completely normal, and that's human nature. My thing is, you got your own insecurities, and don't put those on me.
Right.
Like, let the act and what I'm saying judge me, not your dumb preconceived notion about my sweater.
Right.
But well, you can't help it. So what can you do?
Yeah, that is one thing Seinfeld talks a lot about in interviews, about like how, like, things can get in the way of the comedy, like a flashy shirt or like this too much, because people think that they see it and they're like, oh, what? And you focused on this guy's like reflective shirt for like 20 minutes.
Sure. Yeah. Like a lot of guys wear a lot of writing on their shirt, which I think is a big mistake.
Mm-hmm.
I think dressing too hip. A lot of people do it now, like especially in LA, like the cool sneakers, the torn jeans, the cool jacket, the leather. But I think that's I don't like that. I'm like, is this a fashion show? Is this a cool guy off? Or is this, we're supposed to be funny. We're like silly, clowny joke guys, but
yeah,
hey, to each his anal.
Yeah, it's one more thing to overcome. But if if it works for you, it works for you. Everyone's got.
Yeah. I just, it's the same with those like comedy albums where the guy's like,
oh yeah.
And you're like, what are you gonna beat my ass? I thought I was listening to some comedy here.
Right. You mentioned about backlash. Do you get a lot of backlash from stuff? Because you seem to be a really well-respected comedian. Everyone seems to know what you're about, and you have this thing where people know you don't mean it for the most part.
Oh, hey, I'll take it. I hope that if I do, that's a gift, because it's brutal out there. I also don't think I'm famous enough to. I feel like a lot of backlash people are just trying to take something away from you, like Shane Gillis. With his whole thing, he had SNL to take, and I don't have any SNL, but I've said way worse things than Shane Gillis said. So I'm sure it'll come if I ever hit it big.
Oh, they'll try and take it away from you?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it's coming. I mean, I have no ill will, and I would go so far as to argue that I think people who do say horrible things on stage tend to be better people than the squeaky clean people.
Yeah, because they are comfortable enough to know themselves to joke about it.
Exactly. And they're joking about it at the place they should be, on stage as a comedian with a microphone. Everything's exaggerated there. It's the people who do it in the privacy of their own trailer. Those are the people you got to worry about.
Right. They present one image, and then when they go home, they're dropping left, right, and center every word.
Yeah. And if you think I'm a racist or a sexist or whatever the hell by my act, then couldn't the opposite also be true? If your act is this morally superior bullshit, couldn't you be evil at home? You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
Like, it goes both ways.
Yeah, totally. And it's like, it's people at the, like, if you do a joke that offends some people, but everyone laughs, like, what does that say?
I know. They also do that thing where they pick and choose what you're allowed to shit trash.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they say, hey, you got to be nice and treat people equally and all this, but then when they trash this, that's unallowed. It's like, well, when did you become this judge and jury on what's okay and what's not okay to joke about? The whole thing's kooky, and I try not to pay it too much attention because it'll drive you mad. But I don't know. It's all topsy-turvy, and none of it makes sense. And it seems very entitled to me. Just like, that bothered me, so get rid of it. It's like, well, how come you can't just leave? We got to get rid of it? What kind of sense does that make? How? What are you, the emperor? We got to just be gone. I don't approve. Like, well, blow me. Get out of here.
Yeah, and it's limitless. I caught like an old episode of Entourage on HBO the other day, and I was shocked. It like jarred me how much they use the R word and like all this. Right. You're like, and that's only like 10 years ago.
I know, and it's, I don't know. Part of it, not a lot of it rings true. Like, do you really care about the R word, or is this just like some phase you're in, or are you just fighting your dad and this is the vehicle it comes in? Like,
you just watch, that the word has a different meaning now 10 years later from when that show happened, but you're still watching it in today's environment being like, oh wow, like that, almost like knowing that like that could never happen today.
Right. Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? It's how quick it changed. And like The Office is the number one show on Netflix, or number two or whatever. It's watched so often. People just leave it on. I know friends who like sleep to The Office.
I've
It's
never
because
watched
it's
it.
comfortable. Oh, it's great. It's one of the best comedies of all time. But people will just leave it on. Like that's how familiar and comfortable they are with it. It's like cringe comedy. It's just like that, like, oh, I can't believe he said that. Oh, he's so unaware. That's the whole show.
Right,
So
right,
of course
right.
you need those elements of like awkward racial questions or whatever. And it's the number one show on Netflix. Like people just watch it for comfort. So obviously it's not ruining lives, like that's why it's so weird when people focus so much on these things. But then I'm like, well, why am I focusing so much on them focusing on it? So I got to chill out too. So that's what I'm working on.
Yeah. I used to mix records, which is like you put all the different sounds of a record together and everything has its own fader, like on a mixing board. And if you had like a sound, like a guitar or something that wasn't sitting right, you would either like turn it, you're like, I can't figure out how loud it should be. You turn it either way up or way down, kind of like extreme. And then it would give you like, reset your ears to be like where it should go. And it kind of seems like, what extreme do these censor people want? Like, okay, so give them all the power in the universe. Do they just want to delete The Office, Entourage? What would they do? Because we're in this middle zone where it's kind of unsure. But I would love to hear them be like, all right, you're emperor for the day. Like, what would you do? Would you just go and just mass delete everything? Like,
Interesting.
What are your plans?
That's fascinating. Yeah, I'm in complete agreement, and that's why I think a lot of people wouldn't delete everything. They say they would, but they wouldn't, because then they would have no personality. What are they going to rail against now? What are they going to hate? You need something to hate.
Oh, they need an enemy. It's like a
war. You need an enemy.
Yeah.
And this gives you an outlet. This gives you something to do, and it makes you find your own community of other people who hate it. It's actually a positive thing.
Oh, and then they would have backlash against the people being like, hey, you're the guy who took away Office from us. And then they would have detractors.
Right, exactly. Aren't you hurting those people now? Like, where does it end? We could do this all day. That's why it all comes back to narcissism. It all comes back to like, well, that bothers me, so it should go.
Right.
Yeah, but your thing bothers him, so how come your thing is more important than his thing? And where does it end?
Right. Yeah.
So you let him complain. That's it.
Oh, yeah, let him complain. Yeah, we all think we're very important to the world.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I mean, look at Yelp. Look at Yelp for 6 minutes, and you'll be horrified by the amount of narcissism and entitlement in the country.
Yeah, over a
on
sandwich.
The planet. Yeah, it was drafty. This restaurant should close. I hope it burns down. I had a fly land on my knee. I'm going to kill somebody. Like, shut up. Go eat. You're lucky we have food.
Yeah, especially today. Well,
yeah.
We usually wrap up by like talking about some goals that you want to achieve in this year. And this is a strange year to be putting out goals into the universe. But what are some of your goals you want to achieve, either financially or comedy-wise, this year in 2020?
Well, yeah. Let's pretend like this isn't happening, and I'll tell you my goals, because I don't know where the fuck to go with this. Right now, my goal is to, not punch my girlfriend.
Nice.
But joking. That's a joke. Never hit her. She's hit me. Let's see. Okay, so I had a Conan in the books last month. That obviously is a no-go.
Right.
But that was going, and I had the set picked out, and I was so proud of it. So that sucked. And I really wanted to get that thing out on television.
Right.
But so that was one goal, and that would have been my 9th Conan in a row every year. I want to do another Tonight Show. I want to get that special out. That's going to still happen.
Mm-hmm.
I want to have a new 30 minutes before Christmas. And let's see. I want to hit a full sellout. Like every club I do sells out.
Oh, like this leg of the tour all sold out?
Yeah, it was pretty close. Like I would like miss out on a couple people on a Thursday, but Friday, Saturday, Sunday would all sell out. So I was getting there to all full 100% sellouts. And then you want to start adding shows. And that's when you're really cooking.
Right. When you're like, hey, can we add 2 more days or 2 more or double up on Friday or Saturday?
Exactly. So those would be my goals if this wasn't happening. Oh, and buy another apartment, and at some point buy a car.
Another apartment in LA?
No, I was going to buy one in New York and
rent it.
Rent my one I am in now.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's the cycle continues.
So yeah, that's money is made by sitting. So just sit on that apartment, and yeah, one day you'll have 2, 3, and then you'll be a landlord and all those fun things that come with that.
Yeah, notice I never said marriage or a kid, and I already can see my girlfriend kicking me in the shin.
Well, let's hope she watches this. So that'd be great.
Well, that'll be 2 people.
Exactly. Well, Mark, I really appreciate you doing the pod. Those are great goals. Get on Conan, sell out worldwide, 30 minutes before
Thank you.
Christmas. And where do people find you for like the 3 people who don't know who you are?
Well, let's see. I think it's more than 3, but hey, Mark Norm on Twitter, at Mark Normand on Instagram. My website is called marknormandcomedy.com. Check out my special, Out to Lunch. And yeah, look on the Pandora, the Sirius. I got old albums on there. This will be my 3rd album. Hit me up on YouTube. I got a million late night clips and bullshit on there, jokes, the zingers, the yuck 'em ups. And yeah, praise Allah, and I'll see you in hell.
Sounds great. Watch all this stuff. Thanks again, Mark. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, buddy. I'll see you in LA, hopefully.
Yeah, see you soon. Take care.
Take it easy.